We're doing something a little different today. We have two guests. One is Ted Kalick, a longtime friend of mine and volunteer who is recruiting poll workers to work at the polls, and Paul Kanog, a well-known industry veteran in the mortgage space for lead generations. This is the Mortgage Banking live stream. Welcome, this is the Mortgage Banking live stream. Today is October 7th, 2020. I'm Troy at Garris Horn. We are here to educate, to connect people with information and others, and to entertain. We always have fun doing this. We're going to do a brief business update today, and then we're going to jump right in to talk to our two guests. There is a lot of helpful information that both these gentlemen have. If you have any topics that you want addressed, as you know, just shoot those over to me. You can text them to me. You can send me an email. My contact information is in the YouTube channel description just below, and we'll make sure to get your topics addressed and on the air. A couple shouts out just as we get started. Yesterday, I went to the CNBC's At Work Summit. This was it was by special invitation, and it was really a conference that was talking about working in the modern world, and it had issues related to COVID and the coronavirus, working in that environment, but also had conversations and topics from everything from new technology to diversity and inclusion. Just quite an excellent conference, and that information is still on the CNBC's website. I'm a big fan of CNBC. I look at that's one of the main sources of my news that I get every day, and I appreciate the invitation from them. And check that out. It was quite good, and I did appreciate it. A couple other shouts out too, just to some supporters of the live stream. Ken Willoughby, thank you very much for your comments. Laura Brandeo, thank you. Laura, president of AFR, she's going to be on the show next week, and we're going to have some good conversation with Laura as well. Paul Briggs, thank you, Paul. Ian Wright, Bob Johnson. Bob just started his own mortgage company. He's an industry veteran as well, and just launched out on his own and doing great things out there. So thanks to everybody who helped support this live stream. The election is right around the corner, right? Tonight, make sure to check out the vice presidential debates. I think this year more than ever, people are going to be attuned to, and these vice presidential debates that a lot of times are just seen as kind of a also ran type of an event. But I think in particular, under the current circumstances, you're going to want to check those out. And of course, the run up to the debates is going to be, it's all day today, so you can catch whatever information you want there. But in particular, focus on those debates. Make sure you watch. Make sure you pay attention. It's ever important. And one of the gentlemen today that's going to be on with us is going to be talking about the election itself, and in particular, recruiting poll workers, and because we do need people to be at the polls in order for people to be able to vote. So he's going to be talking about that, and he's going to be trying to get people to. It's not even volunteer. It's pretty fascinating. You'll have to check it out. A couple of little bits of business updates. Mortgage applications are up from the week prior, close to about 5% up actually. It's a good, healthy sign. Last week a little bit down. This week a little bit up. It's the sign of a healthy market. Loans in forbearance, 17th straight week in a row. The numbers of loans in forbearance are down again, down to 6.81% of the portfolios. I will tell you though that number seems to be kind of stubborn, and it's eking down, but just little by little. And as we roll on into the coming fall and winter months, and on into 2021, we're going to hopefully see that number come down a lot more. Otherwise, we have some looming clouds on the horizon we have to be careful of, and want to make sure to pay attention to that. This is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. A lot of people know that already, but if you don't, just take a moment, especially in our industry, in the mortgage business, in the real estate finance business, in the real estate industry itself, take a moment and think about what you know and what you don't know, and how you're protected, how you're not protected with regards to cybersecurity. The CFPB just put out a little bulletin, sort of a public service announcement of sorts about a few things that people can do, such as locking your devices. They say lock your devices just like you lock your door. Look for flat red flags for scams, things like people requesting wire transfers and payments by gift cards. And some of this, a lot of people in our industry would say, of course that's a scam, but there are a lot of people who don't know this. And in particular, I think this is my little addition to the CFPB's bullet points on this issue, is make sure that the people, your loved ones, know about this too, because we're pretty sophisticated, and even we get tricked in the mortgage industry and in the banking industry. We're always at risk, and people, phishing scams and others, they take advantage of us as well. But think about your children, think about your parents. People that might not know as much and might not see as much as you do. Make sure that they understand as well. I think about my own mom, for example, and I mean, it seems like people of that age might be much more susceptible to these types of scams, and of course, the criminals know that too, right? And so, just take a moment and think about that, and figure out ways that you can help people. I'm going to turn now to our guests. I don't want to delay us any longer in that regard, because we have two fantastic guests. This is the first time, by the way, gentlemen, that I've had two people on at the same time. So this is a maiden voyage, so to speak. And I do appreciate you coming on. And I have Ted Kalick. Ted is, as I mentioned, working in the volunteer area for helping in recruit poll workers, and then Paul Kanag, a well-known industry player on the lead generation side. Welcome to both you gentlemen.
Thanks, Trey.
So, Paul, we'll start with you and talk about lead generation a little bit. So the pandemic is here; it's upon us. We've been doing this for now 6-7 months. How has the lead generation space evolved during that time?
For most of I've been doing lead generation. I think, well, first I worked for a lender and did it internally, but on my own since 2007. Of course, it's never been so easy to get a mortgage customer than it is now. Of course, in the past it was really hard to get a mortgage consumer, and so lenders needed help, and now they need no help. So to answer your question, it has it's enabled us to focus a lot on improving our quality. The lead generation process hasn't changed a lot since I started in the business in the late 90s. You fill out a form, the consumer completes the form, and it's sold to lenders. That process is rife for improvement, and I think given the fact that lenders are at best very picky and choosy in terms of the leads that they're willing to buy in this environment where their phone is already ringing off the hook and their pipeline is bursting, it has enabled us to focus on double down on quality and giving the cream of the crop of the consumers who are ready to go and lendable to them.
Yeah, it seems like you say, that the volume people just know because it's on the headlines, right? That the volume of people that hear about great refinance rates, they're calling their lenders themselves, and so it does. What I'm hearing is sort of a silver lining, because it gives you the time and the opportunity to focus on how to tweak your system and how to make it even better over time.
It's become very easy to do my job in this environment. The cost to acquire a refinance customer is very low right now, because
Right.
consumers respond so well to these advertisements, and there's so many of them. so that it's enabled us to focus instead not on trying to acquire a consumer at the lowest cost, so that it could be done profitably. Well, it could easily be done profitably in this environment. It's more now enabling us to focus on driving quality.
Real quality, yeah, yeah. And do you think that we're in the election cycle? Do you think the election's going to have any sort of impact on your business specifically?
I don't know, of course.
Sure.
My instinct or my own personal opinion leans towards uh, the idea that the Trump presidency could be more disruptive, obviously, to the country in terms of stability. I would I might and as such, that could be good or bad for me.
Right.
Sometimes my business thrives in instability. The Biden presidency, I guess, promises continued. Both presidencies promise continued lower rates and low interest rates. But yeah, of course, you never know what you're going to get if Trump continues to be president, and so that's kind of a wild card. It could be a boon for me. I don't know, but yes, I think the CNN article I read, widely circulated yesterday, I think says that both that Moody's and Goldman Sachs are all uh, feeling that Biden presidency is going to be better for the economy in general. But yeah, you're asking about the mortgage
Sure.
advertising business. Who knows?
Yeah,
When
right.
in 2007, it was wonderful for us in 2007 with the financial collapse and all of these FHA programs that they offered.
Sure.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, and actually, I was going to ask about that too. So you've been in this business since the 90s. Can you talk a little bit about how the technology has evolved over that time?
Not much. I mean, you would think it would have evolved much more when I was just starting out in, I guess, American Home Mortgage in the late '90s. I remember this famous conference call where Steve Ballmer and Microsoft had a conference call, and they said we're taking over the mortgage
Right,
business and Microsoft's just going to automate it all.
right.
And we were
Remember
all
that
kind of
too.
quivering in our boots that robots are gonna take over. And then fast forward, what, 20 years or 25 years, and you have well-funded startups like Better trying to do that as well, and losing a lot of money. I'm not a lot of money every month. Hopefully they'll figure out how to do it now, but they haven't done it yet, right? And
Yeah.
so not yeah hasn't changed as much as you would think it would have over 20 years.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny, especially when we talk about the mortgage industry, and there is a lot that has evolved, but it's so incremental. And even just e-mortgages as an example, and the ability to do a loan without showing up at some title company's office is even until the coronavirus time really almost was unheard of. It had been talked about for a couple decades or more, but yeah, just completely unrealistic in the current times. It's so it's again I like to see these silver linings. Of course the pandemic has been horrible and so many people really adversely affected and so many deaths and just real pain out there. Not to take away from that, but part of what we go through hopefully always makes us better in a lot of different ways. And yeah, certainly some silver linings in that sense too. That the mortgage business is finally getting into at least the 20th century, if not the 21st.
For sure, yes. If Corona requires changes in the way we behave and interact online, and then it's hard to roll back those changes, and we can continue doing more stuff online, that would be great.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know we're going to get to Ted here in just a second. Any other thoughts on lead generation and the current marketplace, and maybe looking down the road, 21 and 22?
Oh yeah, I'm not afraid that I'll be out of a job in 21, 22. I was afraid in 2020 was not a good year to be an person promoting advertising of mortgage, but the mortgage business has grown obviously tremendously this year. There's a lot of scale that's going to want people are naturally going to want to maintain and I think that there's going to be a bigger role, obviously, for the mortgage lead generation space as the refinance activity declines somewhat,
Sure.
as it must eventually, and at that point, I think we'll be in good shape. 2021, 2022.
Yeah. And we keep hearing it for 20 years. Also, we've been hearing rates can never get lower, and
I think. I mean, I'm the bad guy in the room. Of course, I'm constantly praying for rates to go up.
well, I do worry a little bit about inflation in that sense too. So hopefully everything will work out. Well, listen, thank you so much. And if you'd stick around, it would be great. We're going to bring in Ted Kalick. Ted is a longtime friend of mine, a lawyer who finally is starting to do other things, giving himself the ability to do some other things in the world, and does a lot of volunteer work. Hi, Ted. Good to see you. Glad to have you on.
Hello, Troy. Good to be with you.
So Ted, can you tell us, I know you're recruiting poll workers. Can you tell us a little bit about what that means and what it is that you guys are looking for?
Sure. I've been working for the last 6 months for an organization called the Voter Protection Corps. Excuse me. The organization is non-partisan, and its major objective is to help all of those who want to vote, who qualify to vote, hope that they can vote and have their vote counted. Most of my work in the last 6 months has been in Michigan and Texas. And in Texas, in particular, we've been focusing on a poll worker recruitment. I think most of the people in Texas that are on, will know that mail-in voting, which has become more prevalent throughout many states, is more restricted in Texas. It's really limited to those people that are over 65 and those that can establish a disability. And for better or worse, listing as a reason fear of COVID or no immunity from COVID doesn't qualify you to receive a mail-in ballot. As a result, in-person voting in Texas will become relatively more prominent than in the rest of the country, particularly in the larger states. And with an expected large turnout, how in-person voting is conducted and goes efficiently and safely is going to be an issue. And that plays into the need to have more poll workers, on site during the election.
So this is not voter registration recruitment. This is poll worker recruitment.
This is
right?
poll worker recruitment.
Yeah.
Registration ended in Texas a couple days ago. We were involved in that as well. But right now, the focus is between now and Election Day, particularly over the next 2-3 weeks, to try to help get as many poll workers all throughout the state. Obviously, there's going to be more needed in the more populated areas, but we're talking about even in the rural areas, they're needed all over. And one of the reasons is that poll workers traditionally have been people in their 60s and their 70s that have done this in their communities for a long period of time, but do not want to do it this year because of COVID risk. And that's created a very large need. So the issue of why to become a poll worker really relates to that, and it relates to the need to have a sufficient number of trained people who are able to make the process go smoothly, to help check people in and make sure that the voting machines are working well. In this period of time to make sure the polling places themselves are safe, that people are socially distanced, that there's appropriate sanitizing material there for people that want it. And so we need folks basically to man the polls. Now, it's just not on election day. As Texans know, there's going to be 18 days of early voting, in-person voting in Texas between October 13th and October 30th. So the need is great. Just to give you kind of a scope of that, in Dallas County, where Troy is, there's going to be 61 early voting locations. In Tarrant County, next door, there'll be 50. In Harris County, which is Houston and environs, there'll be 100 early voting sites. So all of those need to be manned, and hopefully will be effectively staffed. Now, how to do it is relatively easy. As Troy mentioned, I provided him a link to a form that could be filled out by those that are listening who may be interested, or family and friends that you may know that may be interested. We're working together with the Texas Civil Rights Project and other organizations in Texas in this effort. The application, the way it works in Texas is up until about October 20th, the parties, each of the respective parties has a role in processing applications. So an application would go to the party that you designate, you would get trained, and in custom, as in Texas, as in most states, they try to have an equal number of poll workers from each party, even though the poll workers themselves are neutral, just to at least make the optics, seem a lot fairer to the people that are going in. So you can apply if the county is interested. They will contact you. You will get trained and you'll get placed. Now, the only requirements really are that, let's say you are registered in Dallas County to vote. You can be a poll worker only in Dallas County. You can't be registered to vote in Dallas and go to El Paso, for example.
Right.
You have to work in the area where you are registered. And it applies to all ages, and in fact, to college students and even high school students. Those are big areas that we're trying to address. If you have a high schooler at home.
Yeah, the high school students, they might be able to get community service.
Absolutely. As long as that high schooler will be 16 by election day, they can apply and work. And for some people, for a high schooler, this could be, poll workers are paid $17 an hour.
Yeah.
For a high schooler, that could be some pretty good change for
Good
a Saturday night date.
Yeah,
if anybody's dating these days in high school.
They are.
But even for people that may have been furloughed along the way, older people that may be able to use extra money. And it's not just election day. There are opportunities in the early voting days as well.
Yeah.
But I think the main focus, I think, is it's a service that helps protect democracy for those, most of us, I think, who believe in the right to vote and view it as our great right here as a democracy. It's a way to help out. And it's a way to contribute to the community, and it's also a way to help people get through the lines a lot more quickly because the turnout is expected to be large.
Yeah, and in my own experience here in the Texas area, sometimes even in the early voting lines, the lines can get long. And in this particular time with COVID and the risks that go along with that, it would seem to be important to be able to move people along more quickly, while at the same time we have this need for people because the people that normally might be there, some of them might be reluctant. So this is fantastic. So it sounds like you can help your community, you can make some money, get a good experience, and this is nonpartisan, right? It's completely nonpartisan.
It is.
Yeah.
Our organization is interested in people voting. Who they vote for is their choice, but we want people to feel comfortable that they can vote, that they can vote safely, particularly in a situation like Texas, where most people are going to have to go to the polls to vote in person.
Right. Well, that's awesome. We're going to put the link to the application down in the description on the YouTube channel. And if anybody wants it, as always, just contact me. If you can't find the link, shoot me a text or an email, and I'll make sure that information gets out. And gentlemen, I want to say many thanks to both of you. It's wonderful having you on. Today's a little divergent from the normal, because we normally have just one topic, but both of these topics today were so good and timely that I didn't want to pass either one of them by. And I appreciate your ability to come in and have a conversation with us. If you guys think this is, if the people watching think that this is helpful information, hit on the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, and you'll get the information when it comes out. Share the link with your friends. In particular, if you have friends that might be looking for a little extra cash, a little holiday money, $17 an hour for high school students or even college students. I have one of my own, and I'm going to try to encourage him to do that. And send us your comments and questions. Thank you to everybody that tunes in. We appreciate it. We appreciate the support. This is a mortgage banking live stream. Peace out.